There's a truth very few people are willing to admit. Most of us aren't really living. We're just repeating. Waking up late, rushing to work, complaining about life, scrolling on our phones for hours, dreaming about a better future only to postpone it for one more day. Today looks exactly like yesterday. And then one day, we look back and realize 5 years have passed. Yet our lives are still standing in the exact same place. If you're listening to this story at midnight, or alone in a small room lit only by the glow of your phone shining on your exhausted face, then listen carefully. Because this story might change the way you see your life. This is not the story of a genius, not the story of someone born into wealth, and not a miracle created by luck. This is the story of an ordinary man. A man who was once so broke he had to count coins just to buy dinner. A man who spent countless sleepless nights terrified of the future. A man who once believed his life would be stuck forever. But then, he changed everything. Not because he won the lottery, not because someone rescued him, but because of one seemingly small decision. He started waking up at 5 a.m. And what happened afterward shocked everyone who had ever looked down on him. Listen to the entire story, because somewhere on the other side of your alarm clock, a stronger version of yourself may be waiting. On the south side of the city stood an old industrial district. During the day, it was filled with the noise of trucks and machinery. But at night, the entire place became cold and silent. Inside an aging warehouse at the end of the road lived a man named Ryan. Ryan was 33 years old. He worked as a night security guard. His shift started at 8 p.m. and ended just before sunrise. His job was simple: patrol the warehouse, check the doors, record inventory, and stay awake all night to make sure nothing went wrong.
In return, he earned just enough money to survive. Ryan lived in a tiny rented room no bigger than 100 square feet. The ceiling leaked whenever it rained. The old fan squeaked constantly. In the summer, the room felt like an oven. In the winter, it was so cold he slept wearing a jacket. Inside the room, there was only an old bed, a chipped wooden desk, a dim yellow light bulb, and an outdated phone with a cracked screen. That was his entire world. Every morning after work, Ryan walked home as the sun began to rise. He watched everyone else starting their day. Office workers dressed neatly for work, children laughing on their way to school, busy coffee shops, married couples having breakfast together. And him? He walked back into a dark room to sleep like someone completely disconnected from the rest of the world. Many nights, Ryan lay staring at the ceiling, wondering, is this really going to be my life forever? He wasn't lazy. In fact, he worked incredibly hard.
He never skipped work without a reason, never arrived late, never complained to his manager. But the harder he tried, the more his life felt like a car stuck in the mud. The wheels kept spinning, the noise was loud, but it never moved forward. Ryan tried to change. He applied for jobs everywhere, but he had no degree, no skills, no experience. All he got in return was silence. One time, a company invited him in for an interview. The manager glanced at his resume and asked, "Do you know how to use Excel?" Ryan stayed silent. "Do you have any accounting or data management experience?" Ryan shook his head. The interview ended in less than 5 minutes. As he walked out of the building, Ryan felt so small he wanted to disappear from the world. He began to believe his life would always stay this way.
Until one day, everything changed.
It was a stormy night. The wind blew so hard the warehouse doors rattled violently.
Ryan was checking the logbook when his phone rang. It was his younger sister. Her voice trembled. "Ryan, Dad collapsed." His heart tightened instantly. "What?" "The doctor said he's exhausted from working too much. You need to come home now." Ryan asked to leave his shift early and rushed to the bus station. On the ride back to his hometown, he sat silently, staring at the rain sliding down the window. He thought about his father, a man who had spent his entire life working construction sites, hands rough with calluses, back bent from years of labor. His father used to tell him,
"Son, being poor isn't the scary part. The scary part is accepting a life of poverty forever." When Ryan arrived at the local hospital, his father was lying in a hospital bed. His face was pale, his breathing weak. The doctor pulled Ryan aside. "He needs rest. If he keeps working like this, his condition could become serious." Ryan lowered his head. He knew the family had no money to rest, no money for treatment, no money for a better life. That night, Ryan sat beside his father's bed for hours. His father slowly opened his eyes and grabbed his hand. "Ryan." "I'm here, Dad." "Don't live the same life I did." Ryan's throat tightened. "Dad, I spent my whole life working myself to exhaustion. And in the end, nothing ever changed." He coughed softly. "You have to find another way. Promise me." Ryan squeezed his father's hand tightly. "I promise." Early the next morning, Ryan walked outside the hospital. The sky was still dark. The clock read exactly 5 a.m. The country road was quiet. The air was cold. Birds were beginning to sing in the distance. And for the first time in years, Ryan stood still and watched the sunrise. In that moment, he felt as if he had just awakened from a very long sleep. He whispered to himself, "I can't keep living like this anymore." On the bus ride back to the city, Ryan sat by the window with tired eyes. Across from him sat a man in his 50s. He wore a simple button-up shirt, glasses, and was quietly reading a book. What stood out most was how calm he looked. No stress, no rush. Ryan glanced at the clock, 6 a.m. He wondered, why would someone like him wake up this early? Finally, Ryan gathered the courage to ask, "Excuse me, sir. Do you always read this early in the morning?" The man smiled. "I always start my day before the sun rises." The two began talking. Ryan learned the man's name was David. He owned several electronics stores in the city. Ryan was shocked. "You're successful, and you still ride the bus?" David laughed. "Money matters less than time. Morning is the most valuable part of the day." Ryan stayed quiet for a few seconds before asking, "How do you change your life when you have nothing?" David looked directly into his eyes. "People don't change their lives while they're busy earning a living." Ryan frowned. They change their lives during the hours they dedicate to improving themselves. Those words hit Ryan hard. David continued, "If you spend all your time just surviving, then you'll keep surviving forever." David nodded. "The first week will be hard, but the hardest part isn't waking up early." He pointed to his head. "It's defeating the laziness in here." Before getting off the bus, David handed Ryan a business card. "If you truly want to change your life, call me." Ryan stared at the card for a long time. He had no idea that moment would change his entire life. That evening, Ryan called David. The next day, they met at a small coffee shop. David pulled out a pen and wrote, 2 hours a day, equals a completely different life. Then he said, "You don't need to become a genius. You just need more discipline than most people." He laid out a plan. 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., learn a new skill. 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., exercise, read, and plan the day. 9 p.m., go to sleep. No quitting for 90 days. Ryan asked, "What if I fail?" David smiled. "Failure doesn't happen when you move slowly. It happens when you stop." Many years later, Ryan stood on the stage of a seminar for young people who felt lost in life. Below him sat hundreds of people listening in complete silence. Ryan looked at them and said, "I once believed my life would end inside a dark warehouse." He paused for a few seconds. "But then I realized, the thing that changes your destiny isn't luck. It's what you do when nobody's watching." The entire room fell silent. Ryan continued, "If you want to know what your future looks like, don't look at the promises you make today. Look at the habits you repeat every morning." He talked about the freezing mornings, the moments he wanted to quit, the nights he was so exhausted he only wanted a few more hours of sleep. But it was in those moments that I built the person I am today. Ryan looked toward the front row. His father sat there, smiling proudly. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. "I used to think I needed one big opportunity to change my life. But I didn't. All I needed was one morning that started a little earlier." He looked directly at the audience. Maybe tonight you're drowning in debt. Maybe you're unemployed. Maybe you still feel worthless. But please, don't lose hope. Because as long as you're still willing to wake up and fight for your future, your story isn't over yet. Ryan smiled. "Tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off at 5 a.m., will you go back to sleep, or will you wake up to meet a stronger version of yourself?" And sometimes, that tiny moment is exactly where a brand new life begins.